115, Champagne. 12, Rebel Yellow. 27, C3P Ouch. 303, Rumble Bee. 320, Wreck-It Rebecca. Number 4, Brink. Number 425, Legs Get 'em. Number 64, Go Go Gadget. Number 66, Cherry. Number 702, Goody Two Skates. Number 809, Freakin' Reekin'. Number 81, Trampire. And number 999, Huntress. Skating for Sierra Regional All-Stars, we have number 0, Stormy Trooper. Number 1023, Creature Feature. 117, Jackson. 12, Dobby Sock'em. 127, Meat Cat. 14, Deus Ex Machina. Number 24, Magma Mayhem. Number 25, Hell Bunny. Number 28, Riot. Number 30, Smack Lotus. Number 3000, Kit. Number 46, Alice Wonder Wheels. Number 66, Bombshell Banshee. Number 73, Tentacruel. And number 92, Mountain Lou. This is going to be Sierra Regional Roller Derby's first game of the weekend. This is the second game for Bellingham, who won handily yesterday when they played. It's supposed to be a very tight game today. The WFTDA predictor is predicting a 1-to-1 point spread, with Bellingham having 154 and SAS with 146. Both these teams will move up in rankings if the 1-to-1 is the final score, so it'll be interesting to see how this goes as we move along. Right before we get started, I would also like to do a shout out for our Deep Blue officials that are going to be running this game today. We have Huggins, Damn It Jim, Genetics, Huggins again, I'm not sure how they get double billing every time, Asylum, Speed Bump, Dino, Decider, Phoenix, Sushi, Thomas the Dank Engine, Noah Fallon, Saren Gas, Outrageous, Mr. Fox, Screw Lucy, Sydney Vicious, and Casey Dilla. So we are about 2.5 minutes from the first whistle. I'm going to read a quick advertisement, and then we'll take a break until that first whistle is about ready to go. Just so you know, this Puff Smoke Shop is the sponsor for this entire tournament's penalty box. Puff Smoke Shop is a proud supporter of the 2025 Deep Blue Roller Derby Tournament. It's not just about what you carry, it's about who. At Puff's Carson City Smoke Shop, you'll find everything from hand-blown glass by local artists to high-end tech by top brands. With a knowledgeable and friendly staff, their inventory ranges in design and price to fit any lifestyle and budget. Feel free to put stuff in the chat. I'll try to respond as I can. I see someone there is rooting for Tentacruel. They're a skater for Sierra. There's some cheering going on. Looks like we're about ready to take the track. Lithia Subaru is a proud supporter of the 2025 Deep Blue Roller Derby Tournament. If you haven't seen their advertisement on our slideshow, please make sure you notice it next time. They never disappoint with their graphic artists. All right, the teams are taking the track for our very first jam of the game. We've got a minute left here. Looks like we have Jackson jamming for Sierra for our very first jam, and for Bellingham we have, looks like 702, which is Goody Two Skates, also known as Goob apparently, which I approve of because that's a great call name. Like I said, this is only the second game of the day. We do have, I think, 4 more games today. So if you want to stay tuned, you can see. Hold on, I got to look at my images here. We do have 3 more games after this. We have a 2 o'clock, a 4 o'clock, and a 6 o'clock. All right, here we go. First jam of the game. That's the 5-second call. Off the line, here we go. All right, both jammers are in the mix there. Goody Two Skates is pushing that tripod of Sierra up to the front. They're kind of splitting the pack. Jackson getting recycled back by the blockers from Bellingham. Bellingham Jammer has still not cleared the front of the pack, and Jackson is getting knocked out on turn 1 to be recycled again. And there goes Goody Two Skates. They have been awarded lead jammer. Jackson is not far behind. They're both going to be approaching the pack for their scoring pass. Looks like Bellingham's going to be offering some offense for Goody. And Jackson tried to slide in there for one last point. Looks like that was a 2-point jam for Bellingham, and there were no points put on the board for Sierra. All right, everyone's piled up at the pivot line. We'll see where they end up right before the jam starts. We've got Meat Cat jamming for Sierra, and then jamming for Bellingham. Wait, looks like it's going to be Go Go Gadget. All right, everybody slid back to the jam start line. Here we go, jam number 2. Everyone's kind of clustered up at the beginning there. Looks like Meat Cat is awarded lead jammer as she is out of the pack first. Gadget not far behind. Oh, got taken out by Alice right at that turn 1. All right, here's Meat Cat approaching for their nice apex jump by Meat Cat. Gadget is still struggling with their initial pass, and they are now outside the pack. Meat Cat is going to come in, it looks like, from the signal. They're going to score some points and call off the jam, and that's going to avoid Bellingham from scoring any. All right, let's see what the points are for that jam. It looks like 5 points scored by Sierra, and that was no points put on the board for Bellingham. All right, that was a lead change. Still early days. I would expect for the closeness of the predictor that we're going to see a lot of lead changes throughout this game. All right, looks like we've got Rumblebee jamming for Bellingham up against Kit jamming for Sierra. It's jam number 3. Here we go. All right, Rumblebee is coming up to challenge those Sierra blockers. Kit's in the back, being held by that tripod of Bellingham blockers, and Rumblebee is out first. They are awarded lead jammer for Bellingham. And Kit has her helmet cover off in preparation for a potential pass. Looks like Rumblebee is struggling to make some points on the second pass. Getting a little offense there from her pivot, as there has been a successful star pass to Creature Feature, who is now the jammer of record for Sierra. We do have a Sierra blocker coming to the Puffs penalty box as Creature is going through on a scoring pass. Rumblebee has already scored 4 points this jam and is coming around for another pass. Creature's being recycled by the pivot from Bellingham, and will be re-entering behind them to now approach the pack one more time. Rumblebee is in control of the length of this jam by being the lead jammer, and they are approaching the pack one more time to try to score just a few more points there. Looks like Creature Feature is headed to the penalty box, for Puff's penalty box as the jammer, which means that there will be a power jam start for Bellingham this next jam, and they will have a full pack of blockers on the track as well. Our power jam start means only the jammer from the team who's having the power jam, this will be Bellingham, is going to have a jammer on the track, which means they get 30 seconds to score as many points as they can before the jammer for Sierra will be returned to the track. However, returning to the track, Creature will still have to do her initial pass. All right. So Legs Get'em is the jammer who is been awarded lead during this power jam. All right, they are approaching the pack here on a scoring pass, and they have successfully scored 4 points as they leave the pack for another round. Looks like the Creature, the jammer for Sierra, is preparing to leave the pack as Legs is taking yet another scoring pass. All right, we got both jammers back on the track. Creature's in the back with a tripod of blockers from Bellingham. Looks like that Legs is in front and looking for some indication from the bench if they want them to call it or not, but I guess they are going to continue. They are approaching the pack again, and Creature is still caught up there with the Bellingham blockers. Legs is looking for a slot there on the inside, and they make it through with Creature right behind. There's about 1 minute left in this jam, and it looks like that Bellingham is going to take advantage as much as they can to rack up some points, and Creature's going to try to match them point for point. All right, and there's the call off. All right, let's look at points for that jam. Looks like 3 points for Sierra, and then Bellingham got 13 points on that jam, which I think is the highest scoring jam of this game so far. All right, we do have one blocker for Bellingham in the Pups penalty box, so they will have a one blocker deficit off the start line. We will have Jackson jamming for Sierra, and it looks like we're going to be having Goody Two Skates jamming for Bellingham. All right, they're both mixed up there in the middle of the pack. Looks like Goody is trying to make an outside. She is. A little jammer on jammer action. Jackson hit them out of bounds and now is re-entering. Jammers are allowed to block each other, and Goody Two Shoes quickly calls it off to prevent Jackson from scoring any points. That was a 0-0 jam, fast and furious. Double jammer hit-outs and recycle by each other. It was a little crazy. But like I said, jammers are allowed to block each other, and sometimes jammers aren't quite ready for that move. Looks like we've got Meat Cat jamming for Sierra against Huntress jamming for Bellingham. And the Pups penalty box is empty, so we do have a full set of blockers for both teams. All right, off we go. Jam number 5. Oh, sorry, jam number 6. All right, jammer Huntress is out in front, just passing that last blocker to be awarded lead jammer. Meat Cat being recycled on the inside curve there as Huntress is approaching for a scoring pass. Just zipping through the blockers there. We now have Meat Cat is out and right behind Huntress. They are both coming around for a scoring pass. I don't know if Huntress is going to call it or try to get a couple points. They tried to do both. Let's see if they got any. Looks like 1 point for Huntress. So a total of 5 points for that jam, and 0 points were awarded to Sierra. All right, we do have an empty Pups penalty box. We're getting ready to start jam number 7. Looks like we've got Jackson jamming for Sierra. They're going to be up against Rumblebee. All right, about 5 seconds. They just called. They're going to blow the whistle. We're going to get started. Jam number 7. Okay, here we go. Both jammers caught up in that pack. They're both on the ground. They're both up again. Jackson looking on the inside line there, being blocked by some Bellingham blockers. She's knocked out and is recycled by their pivot. Looks like we've got some penalties being given. Rumblebee has been knocked to the inside and is being recycled by Creature. Jackson is out, and she is awarded lead jammer. There is a Bellingham blocker in the box, Puff penalty box. Looks like Rumblebee is out and coming around for their scoring pass. Jackson is through on her scoring pass. She's calling it off to prevent any points for Rumblebee. Good strategy if you see another jammer coming around to call off so they don't get any points. 4-0 is better than 4-4. All right, the score right now is 32 Bellingham, 15 Sierra. Everybody's stacked up at the pivot line. We're going to see who's going to give first and end up sliding back. We've got Kit jamming for Sierra and Legs Get 'em on the line as jammer for Bellingham. Oh, everyone's at a pivot line start. We don't see that too much. Both jammers are running up to the pack here and getting involved with the blockers from the opposite team. Kit's there being challenged by 3 blockers. Looks like Alice is waiting to offer some offense or pick up the other jammer. All right. Down jammer on turn 1. She's got 2 blockers holding her. There's some bridging going on by Sierra. Nice bridging. Out of play. They had to let her go. Who is lead jammer? Kit did get lead jammer. You can hear the Sierra fans kind of going crazy. And Kit is calling it off to prevent any points. Lots of work, no points. That's how it goes when teams are tight, neck and neck. They're going to constantly be calling off to prevent the other team from getting points, even if they also don't get points. We've got a whole cadre of Sierra fans on turn 1, so you may hear some screeching over there. All right, we got Meat Cat on the line as jammer for Sierra and Goody Two Skates on the line for Bellingham. Here we go. It's going to be a nail biter the whole way, I feel. All right, Meat Cat made a run at the pack there. She's got past 2 blockers. Oh, a nice little spin move. She's out of play. They got to let her go. She's going to be lead. And here comes, there was a cover, come at pass to the pivot. we did have a penalty assessed to one of the Bellingham blockers, and there you see it again, calling it off before Bellingham has an opportunity to get any points. A lot of work for little payoff, but that's strategy, and that's what you do when you've got a team that's really close with you. All right, we've got Jackson up again. Same matchup against Huntress again. And all the blockers are stacked up at the pivot line. We do have Bellingham down one blocker who's sitting in the Puffs penalty box. It looks like Huntress is getting a running start behind the line. And here we go. Both jammers are approaching the pack. They're right behind each other. Jackson and Huntress are both fighting to get through. Jackson's offering a little bit of defense there. She's been hit out. Huntress gains lead jammer. And Jackson is right behind. Both approaching for their scoring pass. And Huntress calls it off after scoring one pass through the pack. So it looks like probably they got 3 points. So now the score is 35 to 15. 20 points is not that much. It can be done in one jam, but these teams are holding each other really tight. If there's a 20-point jam, I'd be very surprised if it doesn't happen during a power jam, only because they are so closely matched. All right, we've got Kit jamming up against Rumblebee for Bellingham. And now the last blocker from Bellingham is being released from the Puff penalty box to rejoin her team on the track. Kit is working the inside line up against that tough tripod of Bellingham. Rumblebee. And Kit has been awarded lead jammer. Rumblebee is right behind. And they're going to call it. Not worth the risk of Rumblebee getting ahead and getting some points. So 0-0 jam once again. Okay, looks like we've got Meat Cat, who's going to be jamming for Sierra for this next jam. And Legs Get 'em is going to be jamming for Bellingham. This is going to be jam number 12. We're going to have a lot of jams if they're going to continue calling them so quickly, because instead of going the long 2 minutes that's possible, they're playing for less than 30 seconds at a time. All right, off we go. Jam number 12. Legs is right there, challenging up against Stormy Trooper in the front. Alice is still there, and then lead jammer has been assessed to Legs. We do have one blocker coming into the Puffs penalty box as Meat Cat makes their exit from the pack on their first pass. Scoring pass from Meat Cat will be coming up. Let's see what they're going to do here. Trying to get through that Bellingham pack to get some points. They do get hit to the inside, and they're going to get recycled. Right straight through on the inside for that Bellingham jammer to get 4 more points. Meat Cat is out from a scoring pass, so they have 4 points to Bellingham's 8 points. Bellingham is approaching one more time, and then they're calling it to get some few points. So it looks like it was an 10-point jam for Bellingham and a 4-point jam for Sierra. Like I said, the predictor said this would be a 1-to-1 point differential. It looks like Bellingham is taking advantage and getting. Now we're at a 2-to-1 point differential, so we'll see what happens as time goes on. We're not even halfway through the first half yet, and we've already had 12 jams. All right, we got Jackson jamming for Sierra against Goody Two Skates from Bellingham. Goody Two Skates is going to the inside there. Jackson gets knocked out and is being recycled. She's going to be approaching the challenge that black pack again, and she's there on the outside looking for a line. Both jammers are trapped by tripods of the opposite blockers, and Jackson found a spot, and she is awarded lead jammer. Goody Two Skates make a successful pass to the pivot, Champagne, who is now the jammer of record for Bellingham. Jackson is approaching the pack for a scoring pass, and she is calling it off prior to them scoring any points. Let's see how many points were awarded. They gave none to Sierra. Probably because Jackson was down as she passed the other skater's hips, and a down jammer doesn't score any points. You have to be upright and inbounds as you pass the hips of the blockers to make those points. It's all semantics. Kit is jamming up next for Sierra, and Huntress is jamming for Bellingham. Huntress with that intimidating visor cover on. She hit Kit out to recycle her. And then Kit jumps back in legally and is now up against the Bellingham blockers up in front. Huntress is making quick work of these last few Sierra blockers and is awarded lead jammer. Kit is still struggling with her initial pass. We do have one of the blockers from Sierra coming to the Puffs penalty box. Kit is now out and coming around for her scoring pass as Huntress exits their scoring pass. Kit's approaching. All right, she's going to get some offense from Alice there, and here comes Huntress, who takes a hard hit on Mountain Lou there. Kit is being recycled, and Huntress calls it off. All right, that was 8 points for Sierra and 3 points for Sierra. All right, we do have a team timeout. Dragonhead is a proud supporter of the 2025 Deep Blue Roller Derby Tournament. Whether you're a business, artist, nonprofit, or just have an idea, Dragonhead Inc. can bring it to life. Let's get printing. Make sure to check out Reno's premier screen printing studio, Dragonhead Inc., while you're here this weekend for a freshly printed shirt with a one-of-a-kind local art. Dragonhead is in-house and printing shirts live throughout the Deep Blue Tournament. Check them out for awesome apparel. You guys seen what they're printing? It's those Creature of the Deep Blue. It's a kind of a retro horror movie kind of thing. Cool, creature with a helmet on. Anyways, if you want one of those, you got to come down to Derby. All right, we're about to get started again. This will be jam number 15. That was that rolling whistle, which means we're about to start on the next whistle. All right, who have we got jamming? Looks like it's Meat Cat jamming for Sierra. I'm just waiting for the other name to come up here. And Rumblebee is the jammer for Bellingham. And Meat Cat right off the line, right through, followed quickly by Rumblebee. Now if Meat Cat can skate fast enough, they're going to, they want her to call it. She's not taking signs from it. All right, it was an apex jump for Meat Cat, but they did not land it, so it was 0 points. And in the meantime, Bellingham got 4 points. Things change quickly, and the direction from coaching changes just as quickly when they're in a fast jam like that. All right, next up we have Jackson. She'll be jamming for Sierra, and Legs Get 'em is jamming for Bellingham. We have an empty Puffs penalty box, so a full set of blockers for both teams are on the track. All right, here we go. Both jammers approaching the pack. Jackson makes quick work of that one with a little toe skip on the outside, followed quickly behind by Legs. Jackson looks to the bench for some guidance. Looks like she's going to count on her team to get up in the front and let her get some points. And it's a fast pack right now, which is strategy when you've got jammers that are circling close together. Jackson attempts to make a scoring pass. Legs is still attempting to pass, and Jackson calls it off. 3 points is being awarded to Sierra, and 4 points being awarded to Bellingham. All right, we have an empty Puff penalty box. This jam, yet again, this is going to be jam number 17. We've got Kit jamming for Sierra versus Goody Two Skates, who will be jamming for Bellingham. Lots of smiles and laughs on the track, but when that whistle blows, it's all serious. All right, off we go. Jam number 17. All right, looks like Goody Two Skates is right there, up with that tripod. Got Dobby watching the inside line, getting some offense played on her by Champagne, and has been awarded lead jammer. Kit's coming around, one more blocker to beat, and she is knocked out. However, that blocker is awarded a penalty for that forearm, and now Kit is through for her initial pass. They got some Sierra blockers there, blocking Goody Two Skates. As Kit approaches the pack and calls it, let's see, it looks like they might have skirted in there. 1 point is awarded to Kit for Sierra, and 2 points awarded to Bellingham. These jams are getting tighter and tighter, it feels like. Score now is 26 Sierra to 63 Bellingham. Meat Cat is going to be jamming for Sierra again, up against Huntress. Huntress likes to get that running start. from back behind the line. Sierra goes to the front at the last minute. There's Meat Cat. They're both inside the pack there, struggling. Alice tries to get a hip on her, and there's Penta trying to get a hip as well. And Huntress is through and is awarded lead jammer. Stormy offering some offense to Meat Cat, as Meat Cat is meeting up with some more reformed jammers in the front. Here comes Huntress with a tough hit, legal hit on Stormy there, and is coming through the pack to get their 4 points. All right. They're calling it off before Meat Cat can get around on a scoring pass. So that was a 4 points for Bellingham. 0 points on the board for Sierra for that jam. We're going to be Jackson, going to be jamming for Sierra against Rumblebee, jamming for Bellingham. We've got a split pack. We've got Sierra up at the front. They're going to come back and sit back on the Bellingham blockers there as we get started. Both jammers are in the pack. Jackson's pushing up against that inside line, grabbing her own player, which is allowed, and Jackson is awarded lead jammer. It looks like Rumblebee is still back there trying to get through the pack and being held successfully by Sierra as some offense is coming in. Jackson does a little spin move, and Jackson is going to the box on a forearm call to the Puffs penalty box. This means it's a power jam for Bellingham, and they have 30 seconds to score as much as they can. All right. I don't think that they were a lead jammer, so I'm unsure as to how they called it off. That was a call that wasn't supposed to have happened. Let's see what happens. Only the lead jammer can call off the jam, and if the non-lead jammer gets the jam called off, then typically their captain serves a penalty. Let's see if they're going to, I guess they're not going to change it. All right, we got Legs Get 'em is jamming for Bellingham, and they are out on their initial pass, and they are coming back around on their scoring pass. Jackson is still in the Puffs penalty box. She is standing, which means 10 seconds. All right. And here we go. Inside line right there for 4 points from Legs. Jackson is released and will be re-entering the track. She's taking the inside line there. Gets through. Looks like, and they are calling that off. So that was 4 points scored by Bellingham on that jam. We now have 2 blockers for Sierra in the Puffs penalty box, so they're going to have only 2 blockers on the track at the start of this next jam. It's going to be Kit jamming for Sierra. It's going to be Goody Two Skates jamming for Bellingham. All right, this is going to be jam number 21. We still have almost a third of this first half to go. That's a high jam iteration. Oh, it is Jackson. Jackson is jamming. And she's jamming against Goody Two Skates. Both jammers are kind of hung up. Goody Two Skates gets out in front past those Sierra blockers. Jackson's being recycled to the outside there by Pivot Champagne. She's going to play a little bit of defense on the jammer. Goody Two Skates is there up against the blockers. It looks like they're holding him, and Champagne is offering some offense on the inside line there. And Goody Two Skates is through with 4 points. Jackson is still struggling to get through as Goody Two Skates is approaching for one more scoring pass. They are hit out and they are being recycled. Looks like there is a penalty being assessed to Smack Lotus. They are coming to the Puffs penalty box. Jackson is still in the pack there trying to get through, and there is a successful star pass to Alice. Alice is now the jammer of record, who will be coming around for the scoring pass, and jam is called off by Bellingham before any points can be on the board for Sierra. All right, so we're coming up on our 22nd jam here. The current score is 79 Bellingham, 26 Sierra. We have Meat Cat, who's going to be jamming for Sierra, up against Huntress, jamming for Bellingham. We do have one Sierra blocker in the Puffs penalty box, so they are at a one blocker disadvantage at the start of this jam. We've got Meat Cat there on the inside, making a clear line for herself and taking lead jammer. Huntress is still trying to get past that wall of Sierra blockers. Alice is the last defense in the front. And they're signaling points and call it. That means that Meat Cat will be going into the pack and then calling it before Huntress can get in. A very nice, good strategy, good execution on Sierra right there. All right, so that was 4 points for Sierra, 0 for Bellingham. We need to see some more of that if Sierra would like to catch up in this game. Some more unanswered points. We do have one blocker in the Puffs penalty box, Stormy. But only for 30 seconds. She got a forearm, she's telling me. Stunning. It was an accident, she says. 100% an accident. We're going with it. No. Yeah, all right, Kid is jamming for Sierra up against Rumblebee, jamming for Bellingham. Champagne has just been deadly in there with their offense for their jammers, taking out the top or the side of the pyramid of the tripod to give their jammer an assist there, but now Champagne is stuck doing bridging and cannot assist. All right, recycling. They're going to be recycling that jammer back to the back. Neither jammer has been awarded lead yet. That's Kit skipping by on the outside line. Looks like, who are they awarding to lead? Kit, but she is quickly calling it off because Rumblebee had gotten out at almost exactly the same time. All right, MC Puffs, I want to say Puffs Plus. MC Puffs penalty box for the start of this next jam. Magma, her first time on the line here. She's going to be jamming against Legs Get 'em for Bellingham. Magma just got married last weekend, 2 weekends ago. Congratulations to Magma on her wedding. The first jam after being married. Here we go. Jam number 24. Magma is there in the middle. She's got knocked to the outside. Re-entering there as Legs Get 'em is pushed to the inside and is getting recycled by Alice, taking her back. We've got a couple more blockers in front of Magma there, who's still pushing through. There has not been a lead jammer awarded yet. Both jammers, looks like that Legs is up against just the last 1 or 2 jammers for Sierra. Magma is getting recycled yet again. They're both struggling to get up in front here. It looks like Magma found that line, but there are 3 more blockers up in front. Legs is also struggling against the Sierra tripod. They're kind of getting split apart here. Looks like someone's getting a penalty, and Magma is lead jammer. Congratulations, Magma. Looks like Legs is not too far behind, so I'm guessing Magma's going to get some points and call the jam off to score points unanswered. Here we go. So Magma is entering the pack, and she is calling it, as predicted. All right, let's see how many points. No points awarded to either team. So that was all that work and no points to show for it. All right, next jam is coming up. We're going to have Meat Cat jamming for Sierra against Goody Two Skates, who's going to be jamming for Bellingham in the black helmet. We have one Bellingham. Oh, we have the Bellingham pivot sitting in the Puffs penalty box. So Sierra will have one extra blocker out there compared to Bellingham. And there goes the inside line. Lead jammer awarded to Meat Cat. And here comes the jammer from Bellingham, not too far behind. They're going to do points and quit it on this one. So Bellingham gets to the front to get away. And then you're going to see Meat Cat, and then they're going to call it. All right, let's see if they got any points. They got 3 points to 0 points. Another jam with unanswered points. Getting lead jammer is imperative if you want to be doing unanswered points continuously, because you control the length of the jam and you can decide when it's over. All right, who we got? We got Jackson. We've got Jackson jamming for Sierra against Huntress jamming for Bellingham. And these two have been up against each other before. Let's see what happens. And the jam is on. Everyone's standing still. No one has made a move yet. Here we go. Jackson getting recycled by the other jammer. Jackson's taking her time, skating back. Looks like they're going to do what they call Eat the Baby, which is Huntress taking Jackson back to the front of the pack. All right, Huntress is out. They are not lead jammer because they have not done their initial pass yet. So Jackson is actually going to be should be awarded lead jammer. I'm not sure what's happening. Okay, they gave lead jammer to Huntress, and the Jackson is through on her initial pass as well. Huntress is approaching for their first scoring pass. Let's see if Jackson can make some points while they're working on points. All right. All right, let's see. That was another 0-0 jam. So that last jam, I am pretty sure that Huntress never did her initial before when she left the front of the pack after taking Jackson back. Jackson went back behind the pack and made her initial and should have been awarded lead. However, I am not an official, but that's what I observed here because I know that Huntress went back off the jam start line and didn't actually go through the pack. All right, we've got Kit jamming up against Rumblebee. Kit's in the front there. There she is, and Kit has been awarded lead jammer. It seems like Sierra is getting more lead jammers these last few jams. Maybe they've changed something in their strategy or their skating to try to make that happen. We do have Rumblebee still up at the front there being held by the Sierra blockers. No one has... Kit is here, arriving on her first scoring pass, kind of being brutalized back there in the back by those blockers. And then they're taken out by Champagne. Rumblebee is knocked out to the inside. Looks like the pivot for Sierra is coming to the Pups penalty box. That's creature feature. Kit is knocked out to the inside and is taken back again by Champagne. Rumblebee is still in the pack with Sierra and is finally out the front. And there is a cut pack penalty. It is a power jam for Kit. And looking tired. She is calling off that jam, which means we will start the next half with a power jam start for Sierra. Both these teams are going to go take a 15-minute break, talk amongst themselves, make some strategy for the second half, and then we will see you here back in 15 minutes. That's on. Okay, welcome back. We're about 2 minutes out from starting the second half of this game, which is Sierra Regional Roller Derby All-Stars versus Bellingham Roller, what are they? Roller Betties. All right, we're going to do some ads here while we've got a chance. Archie's Giant Hamburgers and Breakfast is a proud supporter of the 2025 Deep Blue Roller Derby Tournament. While you're here for the weekend, make sure to check out Archie's Giant Hamburgers and Breakfast. Celebrating 30 years in Reno and voted the best burgers in town. Breakfast is served from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., and for the locals, they offer a loyalty program. The Reno Aces, which if you don't know is our baseball team, are a proud supporter of the 2025 Deep Blue Roller Derby Tournament as well. Be sure to check them out at Greater Nevada Field and enter our raffle to win tickets to an Aces game. Fun fact, in 2009, the Tuscan Sidewinders were shedding their skin and moving to Reno. A naming contest drew 1,100 names among over 3,500 submissions. More than 50 of those pitched aces. The ace playing card ties to gambling, while a baseball team's best pitcher is known as its ace. You can hear cheering. We're under a minute till we start the second half. We'll see if the teams come out with any kind of different strategy than what they played in the first half. See if Sierra can make up some of this difference, or if Bellingham is going to keep that split like it is. Next game after this one is going to be at 2 o'clock. And let me tell you who that's going to be. 2 o'clock game is going to be Wasatch Roller Derby Midnight Terror versus Arizona Roller Derby Arizona Rising. All right, we are about ready to start the second half. Here we go. Jackson jamming for Sierra, who will be starting in a power jam situation because Rumblebee is in the box from the end of the last half with a penalty. We do have the Sierra pivot in the box, in the Pups penalty box as well. Off we go. Jackson is lead jammer, and she skips by on the outside there. Some nice toe-stop work from them. They're coming around on their first scoring pass. Bellingham is getting ready for that approach. There's a little offense being played for Sierra. Jackson is there on the outside, and it beats that last blocker and scores 4 points. Creature has rejoined the blockers for Sierra. Rumblebee is standing with 10 seconds or less to go in their penalty. Jackson gets just to the outside there on the apex and is being recycled. Jammer for Bellingham has being returned. And there's Jackson again, coming into the box for a penalty. So we do have a power jam start for Bellingham, power jam situation for Bellingham with Rumblebee coming around on their first scoring pass. We have some serious offense being played by Champagne there as the pivot for Bellingham, as Rumblebee does get recycled. Coming into the back of the pack, some Sierra blockers are trying to keep them contained, but they do make it out to the front. Oh, no, being recycled by Alice back into the pack. Jackson is standing in the box and is now just released back into action. That is a 4-point scoring pass. This is going to be a 2-minute jam because there is no lead jammer when the lead jammer goes to the box. For a penalty, there is no lead jammer, and the jam runs its natural course, which is 2 minutes. So we do have 30 more seconds left in this jam. Jackson makes a scoring pass for 4 more points there, putting 8 points on the board for Sierra. Bellingham has scored 4 points and is being successfully held by the Sierra defense. Jackson is hit out by Champagne, it looks like, and is being recycled. Creature did get a penalty and is coming into the Pups penalty box as the pivot for Sierra. Jackson is out looking at that inside line. Rumblebee looks like they're running out of steam maybe and struggling against 2 Sierra blockers as the jam comes to its natural conclusion. All right, that was an 8-8 jam, so a 2-minute jam, and oh, I'm sorry, that was an 11-8 jam with 11 points being scored by Sierra. That makes them within 41 points of Bellingham. Now we have Meat Cat, who's going to be jamming up against Huntress from Bellingham. We do have the pivot in the box for Sierra. So we've got just 3 blockers on the track for Sierra. Sierra's got Huntress up there in front. We got 2. There's a bridge happening with Dobby. And then now lead jammer is assigned to Huntress, and we have Meat Cat coming to the box as a jammer penalty into the Puffs penalty box. Creature is about to be released. Looks like Bellingham's going to play a little bit of offense there to help out their jammer, who is now out on a scoring pass, scoring 4 points on that pass. There is a full pack of blockers ready, and here comes Champagne in here to run some offense for their jammer. Takes out Dobby into the center, but now everybody's back on the track. And Huntress is through for 4 more points. Meat Cat is being released from the Puff penalty box. And who is coming through? I think that is their initial pass. And they are calling off that jam. And that is an 10 points for Bellingham. And how many points do they give for 0 points for Sierra? All right, jam number 3 is getting ready to start. Empty, Puff's penalty box. Kit is going to be jamming for Sierra. Legs Get 'em is going to be jamming for Bellingham. All right, both jammers are caught up in the pack there, trying to find a way through or around. Kit tries that inside line, but gets blocked by that tripod, but she did find a spot, and Kit is lead jammer for Sierra, followed closely by Legs. Let's see if they're going to run it for some points or if they're going to call it. Nope, they're going to call it. Not worth the risk of Legs catching up and getting points. All right. That was a 0-0 jam. All right. We have an empty Puff penalty box, so this will be a full set of packs for both teams. Looks like Sierra's taking the front as their strategy. Bellingham's in the back sitting on the jam line. Looks like we have Jackson jamming for Sierra versus Goody Two Skates jamming for Bellingham. And they're trying to recycle. Jackson's playing a little bit of defense there. It looks like. I can't see. There's a lot of people in the way. Jackson's pushing by on the inside line, but she is pushed out. And Jackson is getting called on a cut, which means it's a power jam situation for Goody Two Skates, which means all defense all the time, but they're going to have offense coming from their blockers. And they're going to be playing offense on the outside there, it looks like, but Goody Two Skates is managing to get through without her offense. Their offense, sorry. Looks like that Goody Two Skates is out around the outside. One last try to help there from Creature, but unsuccessful, and they are going to call it off, so we start with a power jam start for the next jam. These power jam starts are really advantageous if you can get them for your team, because it gives you, well, up to 30 seconds of scoring without an opposing jammer on the track. Jackson is standing in the box, which means she will be out in 10 seconds or less. In the meantime, Rumblebee is going to try to rack up some points. We've got all the blockers clustered up at the front on the pivot line. And that's just going to give the jammer a little bit of a running start from that line back there. So there's Alice taking a hit, and there's Mountain Dew trying to put in some defense, but Rumblebee is out. Jackson is now re-entering the track, and she's going to be chasing down Rumblebee there. Jackson does have to do an initial pass here, just like a start of a jam. This is just her jam start. And there's some hard hits there from Rumblebee into the pack. And there's Jackson, who is gone through on their initial pass. It looks like Rumblebee is approaching the pack. There are still no points scored. They're hesitating on the call, and Jackson is up there getting some points. So let's see what we've got going on here. It is a grind right there on turn 3. Jackson knocked out by the other jammer, and so she's just going to skate around with her to the back. They refer to this as Eat the Baby. It's not really done that much anymore. Looks like Bellingham does still use this strategy. Jackson's taking her time to get back there because she's got to go back behind the blockers, and she's just waiting for everybody to be ready. And there goes Jackson. Jackson's coming around, and it looks like that was 4 points being awarded to Bellingham and 0 points there for Sierra. It is 105 Bellingham to 46 Sierra at the moment. Sierra is struggling to get and keep lead jammer, or get and utilize lead jammer so far this half, with Bellingham getting lead jammer and being able to control the scoring. All right, off we go. Meat Cat for Sierra jamming against Huntress from Bellingham. Huntress is up against that pack from Sierra, who are being held successfully. And now they're pushing forward. They're kind of splitting those packs up. They've got some offense coming in on the outside that Huntress is going to take advantage of, but Smack is there. Looks like Meat Cat has been sent to the penalty box, so this will be a power jam for Huntress. All right, so Sierra's going to get ready to receive this jammer. Bellingham is going to be playing offense for their jammer if it's needed. With their timing, here it comes. They're going to come in and play this offense on the outside to try to clear a lane. It did not work as expected, though, and the Huntress is still kind of caught up in the pack. And now they are out, and one of Sierra's blockers is coming to the box. Meat Cat is being released as the jammer for Sierra from the Pups penalty box and is entering the pack there. Meat Cat is working their way through and is right behind Huntress. Has now passed Huntress. Huntress, I'm guessing, is going to wait to the last minute and call it, and they do. So no points were scored on that jam for Sierra, and 8 points were awarded to Bellingham. As you can see, those power jam starts or power jams when the jammer goes to the box really can affect the ability to score and to get ahead. All right, we've got Kit, who's going to be jamming for Sierra. She's been very successful this game, getting lead jammer status. Legs Genham, who's also been doing very well, is going to be up against Kit. All right, we've got two packs in the front. Looks like both jammers are engaged with the tripods from the opposite team, and there's a grind happening, which means they're holding them to a place where they're not moving. People are being released from the Pups penalty box for each team, and there goes Kit, got pushed outside to the outside. Here comes the last player. Coming back in for Sierra as Legs is awarded lead jammer. Kit is still struggling, trying to get through the blockers there of the Bellingham team. She's up against the tripod there again, and as Penta recycles the jammer to the inside and strings them back, and they're being told to call it off, so Kit can't score any points. Let's see, 1 point. All that work for 1 point. This is a tough game. The score doesn't really reflect how hard it's been and how few points have been scored for the majority of the jams. All right, looks like there's a timeout for Sierra. The Atlantis Resort and Spa is a proud supporter of the 2025 Deep Blue Roller Derby Tournament. The Atlantis Casino Resort and Spa offers several restaurants ranging from fine dining to quick bites. Don't miss out on your chance to win dinner for 4 at Toucan Charlie's Buffet and Grill in our raffle. Spa Atlantis has been awarded the prestigious Forbes Travel Guide 4-Star Award for the 9th consecutive year, solidifying its commitment to luxurious offerings and exceptional guest services. Timbers is also a proud supporter of the 2025 Deep Blue Roller Derby Tournament. Come for the drinks, stay for the vibes. Check out the friendliest little dive bar in the West. No fancy drinks or paper straws at Timbers Saloon. Service is their #1 priority, and the regulars make the bar feel like home. Feel that small town charm at 124 East 8th Street in Carson City. All right, rolling whistle means we're about to get started again. Looks like we've got Jackson jamming for Sierra, and wait for it. Who is that out there? Is that Goody Two Skates? Let me see. They're going to put it up on the board here. Goody Two Skates, I was right. I should remember from those blue knee pads they're wearing. All right, Goody Two Skates is up against the Sierra. Oh, and they are being sent to the penalty box, which means a power jam for Jackson and Sierra Regional Roller Derby. Time to make some points, guys. They have goaded one of the Bellingham players. And Jackson goes around the outside and is awarded lead jammer. Jackson's coming around on the first scoring pass for Sierra this jam. She's looking for an opening. No pass, no penalty. The blocker fell after she knocked Jackson out, so Jackson could re-enter right there. Jackson is being sent to the box for another penalty, and the Goody Two Skates is being released at the same time. And Goody Two Skates is around. However, lead jammer was sent to the box, so this will be a 2-minute jam. It's going to run its natural entire length. We have 1 minute remaining. Goody Two Skates is approaching on their scoring pass, and they're trying to be held up. They do get recycled there by Smack Lotus. Coming back to the back of the pack, they're going to have some offense played on the outside, it looks like, to clear that lane for them. Jackson's standing, which means she will be returning within 10 seconds. And now they are back on the track. Here comes Goody Two Skates. Nobody can call off the jam, so now it's just racking up points as much as you can on that last 35 seconds we have to play. Jackson did score just 4 points, and now she's approaching the pack again. Goody Two Skates takes a tumble there on the apex, but is up and moving. Jackson has just made another pass, so they both now have 8 points, so it's going to be 15 more seconds to see how many points they each can score. Packs are kind of getting sorted out here. Looks like Bellingham's going to try to play some offense. Jackson's going straight up through the middle, being entangled there in some of the blockers, and Creature Feature is holding the jammer there for Bellingham, and Jackson is out in front. And that is the natural conclusion. Jackson scored 4 more points, and they scored 3. So it is 12-11 score for that jam. All right. That has been we are in the start of the 9th jam here. We're going to have Meat Cat for Sierra jamming against Rumblebee from Bellingham, both getting a little bit of a running start there up to the pivot line. Rumblebee immediately engages with the tripod from Sierra, as does Meat Cat engage with a tripod from Bellingham. There is a penalty being assessed. I'm not sure who it's against, but I did hear a whistle. And Meat Cat is lead, but she has got Rumblebee right behind them. All right, and Sierra is calling it off. Sierra's pivot is taking a seat in the Puffs penalty box. That was a 0-0, very quick jam to prevent either team from scoring points. All right. Team timeout. All right, let's read some more ads. Kaya Fit is a proud supporter of the 2025 Deep Blue Roller Derby Tournament. Established in 2009, Kaya Fit aims to be a community for women to create friendships, encouraging healthier minds. They aim to be a place without judgment, to support your dreams, encourage your goals, and help you to accomplish things you never thought possible. Visit Kaya Fit to learn more and enter the Deep Blue raffle for a chance to win a Kaya Fit pass. Wild Island is also a proud supporter of the 2025 Deep Blue Roller Derby Tournament. Northern Nevada's epicenter of fun. Fun for the whole family. Coconut Bowl at Wild Island is the #1 place to play, compete, and repeat all year long. This award-winning facility offers fun for kids and adults. Play a round of mini golf, race around the jungle cart track, earn points, and redeem prizes from our award-winning arcade, or strike down pins on our bowling lanes. Here you can play your way, and when you're ready to refuel, we've got delicious food offerings and a bar. Looks like we're about ready to start the next jam. This is going to be Jam 10. We've got Huntress for Bellingham up against Kit from Sierra Regional Roller Derby. Everyone's up on the pivot line. Crushed up there together. We do have the pivot for Sierra. And in the signature move that we've seen so much, Huntress has pushed the jammer out and is going to recycle that jammer. Now Huntress does still have to do their initial pass, which means they are going to have to skate back around. Kit is waiting to re-enter. All right, so they did not award Huntress lead jammer this time, but she does have to come around and do an initial pass. So now Huntress has re-entered the jam here, back in the back behind the tripod of Sierra. All right, looks like Huntress is going to the box for a back block, the Puffs penalty box. That means Kit has an opportunity for a power jam here. So, oh no. And she is being recycled there on the outside line. Looks like Kit is being awarded a cut, and she will be coming to the box, which means there will be a jammer do-si-do. What that means is when a jammer comes into the box, the jammer who was already there will be immediately released. So now Huntress is back in, and Kit will only have to serve the time that Huntress already served. That prevents us from all sitting here watching no jammers on the track for 2 penalties. Looks like Alice is coming back to the box as the pivot for Sierra to the Puffs penalty box. Kit is standing and getting ready to be released back onto the track. Huntress is approaching on a scoring pass for that tripod. And Kit is back on the track as well for their scoring pass. All right, we still have them grinding each against their own tripod, and Huntress is out in front and has gotten through. 4 points awarded to Huntress. Kid is still struggling in the back there against that tripod. Hopefully someone's coming back to help her play some offense for her. And that is the end of the jam. We are about halfway, a little over halfway through this second half. Current score is Bellingham 129, Sierra 61. All right, we've got Magma Mayhem back on the line for her second jam of the game. She'll be jamming against Legs Get 'em from Bellingham. All right, both packs are full with their 4 blockers. So it's just jammer versus jammer with all the blockers. Offense being played for the jammer up front against that tripod or a quadrupod of Sierra blockers. Jammer's down, and then they reset up in front to continue to block them. Looks like Magma is still struggling with the tripod in the back of Bellingham blockers, and the Bellingham jammer is out and will be awarded lead jammer. Magma has her star cover off. Magma's taking some hits there as Legs Get 'em is coming to the pack again for another scoring pass. There has been a star pass. Alice Wonderwheels is now the jammer of record, and Legs Get 'em is coming right into the tripod there, and it looks like Stormy, oh no, that was Tenta, got a quick touch on them, but they both went down. Alice is there as the jammer of record, and she is through the pack. All right, let's see if they award any points to Sierra. Typically, you have to have the star on your helmet to be awarded any points. And it looks like it's 8 points to Bellingham and no points to Sierra as expected. Looks like there's an official review being called. I'm not sure what they're calling about, but we're going to take a little break here. Brews Boutique is a proud supporter of the 2025 Deep Blue Roller Derby Tournament and Sierra Regional Roller Derby season. Make sure to check out our sponsor, Brews Boutique, online at brewsboutique.com and use discount code SRRD10 for a discount. They sell skates, wheels, and skate accessories, protective gear, apparel, and so much more. Enter our raffle for a chance to win one of our gift cards. Bighorn Roofing is a proud supporter also of the tournament this weekend. Bighorn Roofing is based in northern Nevada. It's family owned and operated. Bighorn Roofing uses American-made products and prides themselves on their detailed and dedicated craftsmanship. Find out more at bighornroofingnv.com. For those of you not from Nevada, bighorn sheep are our state mammal, and that's why you'll see them on a lot of our... We also have a state dinosaur, the ichthyosaur. You can see them out at Berlin Ichthyosaur State Park out near Ely, out in the middle of the state somewhere. It's hot, that's all I know. And we also have a state gemstone, which is the black opal. Nevada's just full of things. All right, looks like there's an official review happening. Everybody is out. Did they already gather and make a determination? Let's see. Are they going back to give their results? Yes, and I don't know what the official review was for, but everyone's nodding and going back to their respective benches, so apparently it's been resolved, whatever the question was. All right, let's see. All right, looks like it's going to be Jackson jamming at this next jam. Rolling whistle means we're about to get started. Goody Two Skates is going to be jamming with those blue knee pad covers I should recognize. They're going to be jamming for Bellingham. Everybody's clumped up at the pivot line. Looks like Champagne is set up for playing offense on the outside there. Her jammer is watching. Jackson is coming through here and is awarded lead jammer. Goody Two Skates is still back there behind the pack of white jammers and has now passed the cover to Champagne, who is now the jammer of record for this jam. They are still on their initial pass. Jackson is entering the pack here on a scoring pass for Sierra and is calling the jam. That will be 4 unanswered points scored by Jackson. Champagne has really been a force to be reckoned with out of this game, playing all the offense I've been seeing and taking star passes and pretending to be a jammer, so excellent work. All right, this next jam is going to be Meat Cat. I know a lot of you are fans of her name, which I saw in the chat. It is a good one. And then Rumblebee is going to be jamming for Bellingham. And off we go. Everyone's clustering. Everyone's down. Looks like, what do we got? We've got Bumblebee being... Oh, Rumblebee just made a buy on the outside. She was recycled and then got through, and is lead jammer. Meatcat has yet to do their initial pass, but just successfully did theirs. All right, Rumblebee is approaching on a scoring pass. Takes one from Stormy, who is waiting up front, getting a whip. Stormy is taking him out. Nice recycle by Stormy, and they're calling it. Let's see if Meatcat got any points. Nice blocking by Stormy there with that nice recycle. We need to see more of that. We'll see Sierra start to catch up a little. We do have an empty Puffs penalty box. Oh, I lied. We have one Bellingham blocker in the Puffs penalty box. They were being blocked by an official, but I do see them. So Sierra will have a full pack. All right, off we go. It's going to be Huntress jamming for Bellingham versus Kit jamming for Sierra. Huntress did not attempt the recycle off the line that we've seen a couple times from them, which is just a little different strategy, but they do sneak by on the inside line there, and they are awarded lead jammer. Kit is hit to the outside and being recycled back by Champagne as one of the other blockers from Bellingham comes and takes a seat in the Puffs penalty box. Machina takes a nice hit on Huntress to recycle them to the inside as Kit gets through on their scoring pass, I believe. So we both have 4 points. Yes, we both have 4 points awarded. Kit is in the front right now, but she is not in control of when this jam ends. That is Huntress because she is lead jammer. Kit made it through. Oh, she gets hit to the outside. And she's being recycled back by 3-2-0 on the Bellingham team. And then now is reapproaching the pack. Let's see. Oh, I guess Kit was on her initial last time. She has not made a scoring pass yet. So Huntress now has 8 points and Kit has 0 for Sierra. There we go. Now we should see some points on the board for Kit. 4 points for Kit. Looks like Huntress is still there in the pack. And now Huntress is headed to the box for a penalty, which means it is a power jam for Kit. And also this jam will run the entire 2 minutes, which means about 40 seconds left for Kit to score as many points as she can if she can get around Champagne there. All right, hopefully there's some offense coming from her blockers to help her get through. And she's there kind of still. Yep, there's a little offense from Smack. And Kit does get 4 more points. Looks like Huntress is standing, and they're going to be released in 10 seconds or less. Maybe Kit will make 1 more pass here before Huntress comes on. All right, so there is 6 more seconds left. Let's see if Kit can score some points. She's got a couple there from what I can see, and that's it. That was a hard grind. Looks like 8 points. Looks like I am unsure as to what happened there. Huntress did not get back to the pack, so I'm not sure how she got points, but they did give 9 points to Sierra and 10 points to Bellingham. I still see smiles over there in the jam start area, so people are still having a good time. Here we go, Jackson jamming for Sierra against Legs Get 'em for Bellingham. And let's see, Jackson's just got 1 or 2 more to beat. Oh, just beaten slightly by Legs. So now there's going to be a race to the finish here. We'll see if they're going to call it or they're going to try to race Jackson, which is, I don't think, ever a good idea. Yep, calling it off. When those jammers start racing, it's just fast and furious, and they're the fastest ones on the track. That was no points. That was jam number 15. We have about 7.5 minutes left in this half. The score currently is Bellingham 150 to Sierra 74. Much different from what we expected from the predictor. It was supposed to be a 1-to-1 point differential. We're seeing basically a 2-to-1 point differential. So both of these teams' rankings are going to be affected because this is sanctioned play this weekend for all the games. We have Meatcat jamming for Sierra, making some good hits there I can see, and Goody Two Skates is jamming for Bellingham. We do not have a jammer. Oh, we do have a lead jammer, which is Goody Two Skates. Meatcat is still there on turn 2 up against that pack and is now out and away from the pack. Going to be approaching on her scoring pack. All right. Goody Two Skates is through for a scoring pass. Meat Cat is approaching the pack on a scoring pass, trying to draw a cut on them, but they were aware of where they entered and exited the track. Here comes Goody Two Skates again on a second scoring pass. And they are recycled back to behind the pack, and they're calling it off. That prevents scoring from Meat Cat on that time around the track. All right, who have we got coming out to jam now? It looks like we've got Rumblebee versus Kit. They're going to get a nice running start if everybody's going to stay up at the pivot line, which is a kind of an unusual start these days with no one sitting on the jammers, but nobody wants to give up their space. All right, off we go. Jam number 17. Rumblebee taking down some of the players. Oh, looks like a power jam situation for Kit now that Rumblebee is headed to the penalty box for a 30-minute sit-down. All right, and Stormy is headed back to the Puffs penalty box as Kit is trying to finish her initial pass here and get lead, and she is awarded lead as she leaves the pack. Kit will be coming around for a scoring pass. When Rumblebee re-enters the track, they have not done their initial pass, and we'll have to do that. All right, Kit tries to take the inside line there, is stopped by the blockers from Bellingham. Bellingham jammer is released from the box and will be approaching, and are they ready? Nope, not ready. And just right through, Rumblebee is lead, but Kit is lead, but Rumblebee is coming on a scoring pass, and I do believe what the point differential score is. Okay, Bellingham got awarded 3. I can't see the ref hand for Sierra. Looks like they scored 0. There is an official team timeout right now happening. So let's read you some advertisements. IBEW Local 401 is one of our sponsors this weekend. Reno's International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers is dedicated to better working condition, wages, and benefits, and a secure retirement. The IBEW pushes for a higher standard of living and increased security for members and their families. If you have no interest in paying off student loan debt, but you're looking for a career and not just a job, check out their apprenticeship program to learn as you work at IBEW401.com. All right, Kroger, also known as Smith's in our parts, is also a proud sponsor of our Derby season. Kroger, aka Smith, is fresh for everyone. To Kroger, this means providing their customers with the freshest products without choosing among convenience, value, or selection. They offer the highest standards on fresh products. At Kroger, fresh starts with their farmers. Thanks to their farmers, Kroger helps millions of families put fresh, affordable food on their tables every day. All right, we're about to get started after that timeout. We have about 4 minutes and 47 seconds left in this game, or in this half, and this game. Bellingham is currently leading 159 to Sierra's 81. On the jam line now, we have Jackson jamming for Sierra versus Huntress, who is jamming for Bellingham. Dobby's putting her butt there on Huntress, trying to block her, and then just pushing through the tripod there and getting lead jammer for Bellingham. Jackson continues to fight up against those Bellingham blockers. And a not real star pass fake out cover by Jackson, pretending to pass it to the pivot, but then ended up keeping it for themselves as they come around for a scoring pass, and called off before anybody can score anything for Sierra. So looks like that was a 4-0 point differential on that jam. Bellingham has very successfully been keeping control of lead jammer status, and that gives them the opportunity to really control points scored by Sierra. Obviously, lead jammer is the ideal situation, and both teams would like it. All right, this is Meat Cat jamming for Sierra against Legs Get 'em from Bellingham. Legs there, pushing up on that tripod, looking for an inside line there, and gets around on the inside, and is awarded lead jammer. Meat Cat is still in the back, pushing up against that tripod from Bellingham, hoping to get a little bit of help, offense help. All right, somebody got a black block. Jammer for Bellingham is coming to the Puffs penalty box, which means Meat Cat is looking for assist. I see the eyes and hoping for some offense from her team to help her get through. She's recycling those blockers, or recycling coming up front. There she goes, out in front. All right, there is no lead jammer, so that means this will be a full 2-minute jam. 1 minute and 15 seconds left to skate. Black jammer standing in the box, getting ready to re-enter. Meat-Cat is up there fighting her way through. Hopefully Sierra is getting ready to get this jammer when they come in. And the black jammer has re-entered. All right. Meat-Cat thought they could call. Meat-Cat took a hard hit to the inside there and is a little confused about what's going on, but then realizes that we are continuing to play. So Meat-Cat just goes through for 4 points. And Legs is also through for 4 points. We have 38 seconds left. It's going to be a race for points here. A couple more laps maybe, depending on how. And a nice pass by Meat-Cat. Legs is caught up there with the Sierra blockers. Meat-Cat is coming around for yet another scoring pass. Looks like Legs is just, yes, a nice apex jump. Illegal contact for a blocker from Bellingham, touching the jammer in the air. Oh, no, that's not true. Not for touching the jammer in the air, but she getting illegal contact. So Meat-Cat is still out there and racking up the points. Legs is in the back of the pack, hoping for some offense or for the misery to end, one or the other. All right, nice job, Sierra. That's the first jam. You've had more points than Bellingham in quite a while. 12 points for Sierra to 6 points for Bellingham. With 1 minute and 32, it's an insurmountable difference right now, but I know both teams will be fighting to the bitter end. All right, 5 seconds. Let's get ready for that whistle. Here we go. All right, we're going to have Kit jamming for Sierra up against Goody Two Skates for Bellingham. Kit's trying the outside. And coming to the inside now, seeing if she can get through that way, and she does. Awarded lead jammer. Goody Two Skates is stuck up in the back and is looking for a star pass to Champagne. And Creature was there anticipating and then takes a spill. All right, Kit is lead jammer. I'm guessing lead jammer, and she's going to get through and call it, but let's see what the coaches say to do. Nope, they're calling it. Oh. There's some hard hits being dealt out there by these Bellingham blockers. There's going to be some sore Sierra players later on today. All right. So we have 36 seconds up. Oh, official review. Let's see who's calling our official review. No, we're going to thank our sponsor for Rice Street Tattoo. They're doing the same one live in-house. Rice Street Tattoo is a proud supporter of the 2025 Sierra Regional Roller Derby season. Voted Carson City's best tattoo shop for 7 years running, consider Rice Street Tattoo for your next tattoo. Visit ricestreettattoo.com for more information. All right, so they probably did that official review to stop the clock, because otherwise it runs out to its natural conclusion. If they do a official review or a timeout at this time, that will stop the clock, which allows them to have one more jam. So this last jam is going to be, no surprise, Huntress from Bellingham versus Jackson from Sierra. Jackson's smiling on the jam line, so obviously she's okay. And we have one Sierra blocker in the Pups penalty box for this final jam. So they're going to leave one Bellingham blocker up front to play offense when their jammer approaches, and here we go. And there goes Huntress. Looks like Sierra's going to fall back to try to play some offense for Jackson. And here comes Huntress, taking their first scoring pass as Jackson is out the front. All right, a couple penalties happening here in that. Oh no, Jackson has a penalty. They are coming to the box. I'm not sure what the penalty is, but they are coming for the penalty box, and Huntress is coming up for another scoring pass, and they are knocked out to the inside by Alice, and they are calling the jam. That is the end of the game. All right, 175 Bellingham, 97 Sierra. Please join us again for our next game. It's going to be happening in about 30 minutes at 2 o'clock. That is going to be Wasatch Roller Derby, Midnight Terror versus Arizona Roller Derby, Arizona Rising. Please stay tuned.